play the game before you watch this because it's free on Steam, like right now. So go play it. Okay, so the game we're reviewing today is called The Conflict Found Footage. So what is this game? Well, basically, as the name implies, it's a found footage type game set in the Backrooms. Now, what are the Backrooms? Well, Backrooms is kind of like Out of Bounds, but for real life. So you have to no clip out of reality. So it's kind of like a debug room with like leftover assets from like a video game. Think of that one place in Fallout 4. That's the only place I can think of right now. But yeah, it's kind of like that. It's just this like weird mismatch of like office spaces. It's based on liminal spaces, which is just kind of like an empty space or a place, or like a space that's like in transition. I don't really know. I'm not an English major. Now there are a few different takes on the Backrooms. You have just like the regular Backrooms, which is essentially just from the original post of the Backrooms, which is just this weird, infinite, like dank office hallway type thing, ugly, disgusting wallpaper, that kind of thing. You have the purists who think it's basically just that one level. You have other people who are like, oh no, it's levels like 1 through 3, which is a bunch of other stuff. And you have people who believe it's kind of like this one huge like list of levels that makes up the entirety of the Backrooms. I don't really care about those. It's just whatever. Popular Backrooms thing at the moment, I believe, is Kane Pixel series on it. Really good. Also, you can kind of tell that this game is like heavily inspired by Kane Pixels in particular, which I'll talk about later. So as we start the game, we see static TV. Ooh, spooky. We found out the time, which is September 22nd, 1986. People work in a hallway of doors, an office with some computers. We saw a company called Magwave on the wall. So there's already some similarities to Kane Pixel series with the big corporation accidentally opening the Backrooms, and then we fall through and find ourselves in the complex. So other than that, there's no story, pretty much no story. There's an ending, which I'm not going to tell you for spoilers. I'm just going to go over all the levels that you can see in the game, and then we'll talk about what I think about it at the end. Okay, so we got level 0, just a regular old Backrooms. This is the original image. It's kind of cool, yeah, you know, like what the Backrooms is. Level 37, Sublimity. Cool, I like the cool aesthetic, very nice. It was one of the first rooms, levels that made me feel comfortable. And then it got dark, that made me feel uncomfortable again. The mall, which I can't find a level for. That sucks. A less cool looking version of level 5. Terror Hotel. So right. Also probably the worst one. Back to level 0. That's nice. Level 9. Darkened Suburbs. As you can tell, if you've seen Kane Pixels, I think this video, then you know where the suburbs are from. Level 1, Habitable Zone, I think. Not sure about that one. I'm also bad at looking for levels, so I don't know if the Snow House one exists or not. Yeah. And yeah, those are levels. Okay, so there are really only 4 things you can do in this game, which is move, sprint, crouch, flashlight. You can also zoom in, but I don't know, I don't really count that. That's really it. There's not much gameplay wise to do. You can't really interact with anything. I don't want to call it a walking simulator. I mean, I guess kinda, like technically it is. Well, I don't know. I feel weird calling it a walking simulator. It leaves like a bad taste in my mouth. Cause like, not like a bad thing, but I think most people just put walking simulator to sort of insinuate there's nothing else in the game to do, and it's just kind of boring. Which I mean, yeah, I guess. But I think I'm just gonna call it an experience. The gameplay really does a great job of making you feel alone, like like how it would be to be in the back rooms themselves if they were real. And I hope they're not. They're pretty slow, and there's no noises. Pretty much, there's only ambience, no music. There's no Gordon Ramsay violence stinger, thankfully. And I think that's what really makes this game as good as it is. There's no music. There's nothing to tell you be scared. You just kind of be scared on your own, which is what makes it, I think, a lot more scary than other Backrooms games. I haven't played a lot of the other Backrooms games, but I think this one is probably the best in terms of style. So whenever you're wandering around, you'll find an elevator, and this elevator is what takes you to different levels, which is pretty cool. 'Cause I don't know many other bathroom scenes that does elevators in particular. It's mostly like stairs or holes, or just no clipping to the next layer, which is cool. So there's new things being added, which is nice. I always love to see that. It does take a while to like find the elevators. When I first started playing, I didn't even know there were elevators, because it's like extremely confusing and hard to navigate. And I think that's what makes it so good. Is it really encapsulates how the backrooms feel. Like you would have no idea where you're at. You wouldn't have a map. You wouldn't have anything. You just kind of be lost, wandering around, and that's what kind of makes it so uncomfortable. You don't get any comfort at all. You don't get like a map, you don't get a safe haven. Even when you spawn in, you feel immediately like, I need to leave. This is what this game really does a good job at, is making you feel like you shouldn't be here. And it's sort of exactly what I imagine being stuck in the back rooms would be like. That's really it on how I, gameplay stuff. There are some crawl spaces you can crawl into. Yeah, it's cool. I don't like crawling down because you take a while to crawl down. It's like everything your character does is really slow. Even when you sprint, it's kind of slow. Oh. Okay, camera fell over, I have to put it back up. But, part 3, stuff I like. Visuals. It's very visually distinct, I think probably from other Backrooms things. Well, not really. I think when it comes to stuff like Kane Pixel's found footage, you can tell it's pretty inspired, and I think that's honestly another good thing is being inspired to do something like this. Like Kane Pixels didn't make that series, this game wouldn't exist. It's like playing the game set in Kane Pixel's universe. Obviously, it's not the same thing, but it's pretty clearly inspired. And I think that's what makes it really good. See, they're like, oh, I've seen that place before. They do that thing. The lack of a UI, I think, is what really makes it even more immersive. It's first off, it feels, it's like you are carrying the camera. So you got that really short aspect ratio. You got the blurriness of the camera. You got that sort of low quality. You got that really slow zoom in, which I really like actually. And there's no like most recording things, I think we'll have like a little sort of timer up at the front that counts how long the thing is, and it has like a menu button, but that doesn't have that on here, which I actually really like. That's really good, because I feel like if that was up there, it would just be sort of distracting. Next up is environments. The environments are amazing. It's like the environments are just they're great. The back rooms themselves, the old musty, yucky sort of gross looking office hallway, that's done really well, honestly. Like, it feels like I'm in the picture. Like, that picture, I feel like I'm in there whenever I'm walking around here, walking all slow, the lights are buzzing, stuff like that. It's amazing. And talking about the lights buzzing, the ambience in the game is also really great. There's, like I said, there's no music or anything. It's just the noises in there, and it's your own footsteps, which scare me. I've been scared by my own footsteps too many times. That's messed up. And I think the ambience, the lack of noise and stuff, is what makes it really scary. And I think there's a really good way to sum up what makes it scary. SCP-1057. Panic means that the idea of a shark can be more dangerous than an actual shark. Now, what does that mean? SCP-1057 is an SCP reference. The idea of something dangerous can cause people to panic even if it's not there. So essentially what that means is there is no monster. There's no entities, nothing like that. It is just yourself. You're stuck there, and I think not knowing that there's a monster, I think it makes it scarier. Because even when I learned that there wasn't, I was still scared because for all I know, there could still be something down there. And even the arrows that show up, I remember seeing those, and if you, like backroom scenes, I thought, no, I'll pass. There's gonna be a monster at the end. I'm gonna get scared. I'm gonna scream. I'm gonna wake up my neighbors. You freak yourself out because you'll be walking, you hear your own footsteps, and then you'll hear for like a split second, maybe another pair of footsteps behind you. And that happened to me so many times because I didn't know. And even when I knew, I was still like, I still feel like there's something watching me. There's something right behind me. In the hotel section, when those noises start happening, I'm like, oh, it's right at the end of this hall. I'm gonna get murdered. It's just, I think that's what makes it really great. Oh yeah, also there is no monster. Sorry, should have played the game, bloody pal. Punk. Okay, part 4. Stuff I don't like. You're too slow. The character is way too slow. I think even on my first playthrough, I noticed that the character is way too slow. And I was like, wow, it sure is taking me a while to get back. I think some people said that, I remember reading the reviews on Steam, I think there were a few that said like, oh, there's no monster, oh, this game isn't good because there's no monster. I mean, I get it. Some people expect that there would be a monster. I think it's better without the monster. Sort of the idea of the monster is scarier than the actual monster. Which I think makes it better, but you know how it is. Flashlight barely works. You will light it up and it just doesn't do anything. Like, there were a few sections where I would light the flashlight and I would have to stick next to the wall just so I could know that I'm going straight. There's no story, pretty much, other than like, big company accidentally opens Backrooms, you fall in, and that's it. If you played it through the first time, I think you'll get a lot out of it. Also, there were a few sections where I ran into an invisible wall. That kind of brought me out of it. I was like, oh, that's cringe. Realistically, it can't go on forever, which isn't really a problem. That kind of took me out of the experience of it. Didn't feel immersed. Like, as soon as I hit the wall, I was like, oh yeah, okay, well, I'm playing the game. Also, it's not randomly generated, which in itself isn't a huge problem. For me personally, it's kind of like, oh, okay, so there is a path, and playing through it more than once, you'll start to learn where that path is, and you can just go off and get to it. Although there are a few times where I would get lost because it all looks the same. So you can't really know what the path is. I mean, I guess you could, just through like trial and error, but for me it's sort of like, oh, which word do I turn again? That's alright. Part 5, final thoughts. Great game. More of an experience in a real game, which still that isn't a problem because it's like executed amazingly. It's probably one of the best Backrooms games or just media in general. At least at the time of recording this. It's very inspired by King Pixels. You know, if you like his work, you'll probably like the game. And that's not really a problem. He makes probably the best Backroom series on YouTube or just in general. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. If you're a fan of the Backrooms, absolutely just go play it. It's on Steam. It's free. The Complex, found footage. You know, it's free on stuff. I just noticed you can see my oven through the door like this whole video. No, whatever, I don't care. Yeah, but overall, it's pretty great. I would say 8.5 or no, 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 game. It's great. But yeah, that's the video. I'm probably gonna do another one of these little tiny free horror game type beat things. I found another one on Steam that looked interesting. So I'm gonna do that. Probably gonna make a few of these because they're short and they're cool and it's fun. I don't know, but walking me, but.